I want to welcome you to day 6 of week 2 of our study on revival and evangelism. Today I want to talk to you about persistent prayer. Often when we start praying for revival and praying for evangelism, we live in an instant generation and we want revival to come right now. You know, we started this study, 21 days is coming up, and we wanted to have revival when this 21 days is up. It doesn't work that way. You've got to give yourself to a life of prayer, of praying persistently and not giving up. Jesus spoke a parable to that end about a little widow lady who was persistent to an unrighteous judge, and because of her persistence, he gave her what she wanted. And then Jesus said, this is the way you are to pray. You're to pray persistently. That's very interesting because Jesus wasn't comparing God to the judge. We may be like that little widow lady, but God is righteous and God cares about people. That judge didn't on those two accounts. But what prayer is intimacy with God. So why do we have to consistently and persistently pray? First of all, it changes us. You see, the reason for continually coming before God's throne is not to change someone else. Remember what the purpose of God in our life is to change us. Let me share an illustration that I think will help you understand this. I told you about my mother, how I prayed for her for 25 years. My mother wouldn't talk to me. She didn't want to hear anything. But one day when I was having my quiet time, I was so burdened for my mother, and I prayed for her. It'd been about 10 years of praying for my mom, and it just seemed like, it was hopeless. And the Lord spoke to me, and He said to me, son, the problem is not your mother, you're the problem. I said, what do you mean, Lord? And He spoke to my heart. He said, my mom had a tough life. My dad was sick, and my mom was the breadwinner, and she had to go to work early in the morning, came home late in the afternoons, and then she had to take care of us kids, and then my dad was sick and had to take care of him, and it was a rough life for her. And you've never once told her how you appreciate her sacrifice. And man, I was convicted in that prayer time. I called my mother on the phone and I said, Mom, I just need to ask your forgiveness. I said, I've been an ungrateful son. And there was silence. I didn't know what she was going to say. And she said, Sammy, I can't tell you how much that means to me. And from that point on, my mother started opening up. It took a long time, but she started opening up, and I began to be able to share Christ with her. You see, I was praying for her, and God showed me something about me. So the purpose of persistence in prayer is not necessarily to change the person you're praying for, but as you pray, as you come into God's presence, God's going to change you, and He changed me. So pray, believe, don't give up. Now, I want to encourage you to do something. I talked to you about your testimony yesterday, and to write out your testimony, I want you to write out something else. I want you to make a circle. And in that circle, put you. You're in that circle. Then I want you to make another circle and put your family and write out your family members' names. Then I want you to make a broader circle, and that's your friends. And write out those people that you're close to. And then write a bigger circle, your acquaintances, and write them. And then in that circle, those circles that you've made, those concentric circles that you've created, I want you to list the people in those circles who need Jesus. And I want you to begin to pray for them. And don't give up. Every day you pray for those people who are in those circles who need Jesus Christ. And you persist in prayer, ever how long it takes. If it takes 5 days, 5 hours, 5 years, 25 years, and you pray for them until God answers that prayer. God will do it. And by the way, my grandmother prayed for my father, and she died, didn't see the answer to the prayer. But God answered her prayer, and he was saved long after. In fact, it was 25 years after my grandmother died, God saved my dad. So you don't give up. You don't lose heart. You don't grow faint or weary in your praying. You persist and you're praying, and God will answer those prayers.